Ethan Cole had seen desperation before. Flat tires on lonely highways, travelers stranded in the heat, families short on money for repairs, but nothing prepared him for the trembling little boy standing outside his garage that night. The Arizona wind was sharp, brushing dust across the pavement as the sun dipped behind the desert hills. Ethan had been turning off the lights, ready to lock up, when he noticed the child's silhouette. Small, fragile, and still. The rusty bicycle leaned against his leg like it was the last thing in the world he owned. When the boy finally lifted his face, Ethan felt a jolt of concern run through him. The boy's clothes were thin, torn in places, covered in dust as though he had been walking for miles. His cheeks were hollow, the kind of hollow that didn't happen overnight. His hands shook slightly as he held the handlebars, trying to stand strong but failing. Ethan approached slowly, worried he might scare him. Those wide, frightened eyes followed every step. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, the child said words that sliced straight into Ethan's chest. "By my bike, sir. Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days." For a moment, the world seemed too quiet, too still. Ethan knelt in front of the boy, trying to keep his voice steady. He asked where his mother was, expecting maybe an abandoned car nearby or a family waiting on the road. But the child only pointed toward the endless stretch of desert, cold, dark, and empty. Something wasn't right. A 7-year-old shouldn't be alone out here, not at night, not with that look in his eyes. Ethan could sense fear hiding beneath his words, something deeper than hunger or poverty. It was fear of something, or someone, still out there. After a pause, Ethan made a decision. He opened the garage door again, turned on the lights, and gently guided the boy inside. He warmed up some leftover stew, watched him devour it like he hadn't eaten in days, and then set up the spare room with a blanket and pillow. The boy hardly spoke. When Ethan asked his name, he hesitated before whispering it. When Ethan asked about his mother again, he lowered his gaze and curled into himself. Later that night, Ethan found him sitting upright in bed, eyes locked on the door as if expecting someone to burst in. The following days passed quietly, but uneasily. Ethan kept the boy close, fed him, let him rest, and tried to earn his trust. Sometimes the child clutched the blanket so tightly his knuckles turned white. Sometimes he jolted awake from nightmares he wouldn't explain. He would walk to the window and stare out into the desert, scanning the horizon like he was waiting, or hiding, from something. Ethan knew trauma when he saw it. But this wasn't normal fear. This was survival fear. Someone had chased this boy, or someone had hurt him. Yet no matter how gently Ethan asked, the child stayed silent. By the 4th day, Ethan knew something had to give. He had tried the police, but without details, they couldn't do much. He considered driving back into the desert to search for the mother himself, but the boy clung to him whenever he approached the truck. The child trusted him, and feared everything else. That morning, as sunlight spilled across the wooden cabin and the smell of breakfast filled the air, Ethan hoped maybe the boy would finally open up. Instead, a sudden, heavy knock echoed through the front door, and the story took a turn he never expected. Ethan stood frozen in the doorway, the cool morning air pressing against his skin as the 3 Apache women waited silently. Their presence carried a weight he could feel but didn't yet understand. The eldest woman's eyes were lined with exhaustion, as if she had crossed miles of desert without rest. Behind her, the younger women clutched woven shawls, their expressions guarded but filled with a desperate kind of hope. Ethan didn't move at first. His mind raced, trying to make sense of the sudden collision between the quiet morning and the urgency standing on his doorstep. The boy behind him trembled, gripping Ethan's shirt with tiny fingers that dug in like claws. His breathing quickened, and Ethan could feel the child's fear radiating through him. For days, the boy had been silent, terrified, constantly glancing toward the windows. Now, standing before these determined women, the reason behind his fear grew clearer. He wasn't running from his mother. He wasn't lost by accident. Something had happened, something that forced him to flee into the desert with nothing but a rusty bicycle and desperate hope. The eldest woman stepped closer, her voice steady but soft. "We have come for the child." Ethan swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. He wasn't ready to simply hand the boy over, not without answers. The woman seemed to sense his hesitation. "He is not abandoned," she continued gently. "He is missing. We have searched for him for days, across canyons, through the night, through every trail he might take. Her words held anguish, the kind that only comes from fearing the worst. Ethan felt his chest tighten as he realized the depth of their desperation. Before Ethan could respond, the boy pressed his face into Ethan's back, shaking his head violently. The youngest woman's lips parted in heartbreak when she saw him. Ethan knelt and tried to reassure the child, whispering that he was safe, but the boy clung harder, whispering something in Apache under his breath. The eldest woman's expression softened. He trusts you, she said sadly. And he is afraid. Something frightened him deeply before he reached you. Ethan felt a chill run through him. Whatever happened to this child was bigger than hunger or abandonment. One of the younger women stepped forward, clutching a small beaded pouch. She raised it gently. His mother sent this, she said. She was injured. She wanted him safe, away from danger. The words hit Ethan like a blow. The boy's mother hadn't sent him to sell the bike for food, she had sent him to survive. Ethan looked at the little boy, realizing the fear in his eyes wasn't from poverty. It was from something chasing them, something he still didn't know. And yet, in those 4 days, the boy had found safety with him, a stranger. Ethan finally rose to his feet, heart pounding as he faced the women. He knew he couldn't keep the boy forever, no matter how much the child clung to him. But he also couldn't simply hand him over without understanding what danger still lingered. Tell me what happened, Ethan said quietly. The women exchanged a heavy, knowing look. If we tell you, the eldest replied, your life will never be the same. Ethan glanced at the trembling boy and knew the truth, his life had already changed. And what came next would bind him to this child and his people in ways he never imagined.